Hi, I'm Karen Cardell with Arctic IT, and we're going to take a look at closing the fixed assets module in Dynamics GP. So first, you're going to want to make sure that your payables have been closed. That needs to happen prior to closing the fixed assets. There is going to be a fixed asset year-end closing report that will print once you complete the close, but that only happens if you have GP 2015 or later. Prior to that, you don't get a year-end close report. Then we're going to want to make sure that we've entered all our transactions, any retirements, transfers, selecting assets, changes, things like that. We'll want to do that before we close. And then we're going to want to complete our depreciation. So under routines, we're going to go ahead and say depreciate. And we can depreciate all assets or group. Typically, depending on your depreciation schedule, you'll probably select all. And then depending on the different books, we select depending on your tax year versus your fiscal year. We're going to select the internal books, and we're going to put our depreciation date, and we'll go ahead and have 12/31/2028 to match our closing here. And again, your depreciation date depends on when you last performed depreciation. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, and we'll go ahead and say depreciate, and it's going to tell us all depreciation will be performed. And we'll go ahead and let that run for a little while. And once that's done, we can go ahead and close our window. And then we can go ahead, if we choose to, and do the GL posting related to the depreciation and any prior transactions that were not posted. So we'll go to GL posting. And again, I'm going to select a date of 12/1. And we can go ahead and select the period. And again, anything that was available. Right here, I don't have anything available. Let's go ahead and click process. And there's all my transactions. Those showed up once I clicked process. And I can then go ahead and choose to save, go ahead and post. I'll go ahead and post these, and the report will print. Once we do that, we'll go ahead and close this window. Now, there are some reports that we might want to run at year end. So if I come to my reports, we've got depreciation is particularly important, our detail, our general ledger. We can go ahead and choose to run any of the fixed assets reports down here that we like. Keep in mind that prior to GP 2013 R2, you must run any reports that you need prior to closing the fixed assets year, because you cannot go back historically. They have made some changes with later versions of GP, and you can print prior year historical information. So for instance, if I come to depreciation and I want my depreciation ledger, go ahead and click modify. We see here that we can enter previous years as of dates. Again, this is available with GP 2013 R2 and later. Prior to that, you do want to run your reports before you make the close. Then we can go ahead and just take a couple checks here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to Tools, and we're going to go to Setup, and we're going to go take a look at our calendar, make sure our calendar looks good, or calendars, depending on how many you have. Make sure our years are in here. Okay, that all looks good. Then we can go ahead and check our quarters if we like. So we'll go ahead and we'll set up, we can look at our quarters, and if we're using quarters, we want to make sure that those look good as well. All right, everything looks good. At this point, we're going to want to have our IT department take a backup. And once we've done that, we can go ahead and perform our year-end close. So we're going to go to Routines, and we're going to go to Fixed Assets, Year-End, and we're going to select which books we want to close. I'll go ahead and close my internal book. Once we do that, we can select Continue, and we're going to start the year-end close. And again, because I have a later version of GP, I will have a year-end closing report. We're going to say OK here. Okay, and if you get a pop-up that tells you the asset depreciation has not been done, it will warn you, so you're going to want to head and run that depreciation before you complete the year end. But I was all done, so here is my report, which I can choose to print. At this point, we'll have our IT group take a final backup, and that completes the closing for Dynamics GP fixed assets.